So, another question for both of you. I think I know the answer, but people who are listening slash watching may not. So, do you guys have any side hustles to sort of bring in some extra revenue, or is it all games and music? Who wants
Oh
to go
man.
first?
I'll
I mean,
give
this
it off.
is a side hustle. I have a job. Yeah, I go to work, normal job.
May I, you don't have to say who you work for, but may I ask what you do?
Uh, you know, it's funny. Jonah taught me how to do his job, so that's
You're
what I
doing
do.
web development. Wait, did you guys used to work together?
No, no. Yeah, I don't know. I was just, between jobs or whatever. All my friends are these people at Gumbo because I do this shit. And I'm like, guys, what do I do? And there's like, oh, go make websites. And I say, all right, how? And they teach me. And
Oh,
that's basically it.
that's actually a pretty
Um,
awesome story. Like Gumbo taught you?
Well, you
yeah,
went to a
pretty
boot
much.
camp as well.
I mean,
Okay.
yeah, honestly, I wouldn't have been able to do that without the Gumbo people. Like, it's like 50-50.
Did you two
So
meet each other at Gumbo?
Through a game jam.
something like
Okay.
that, yeah.
So
Yeah, I think it was a game jam.
yeah, I think there were at least early a couple of game jams before Gumbo was really a thing. Is where
Yeah.
How about you, Jonah? I think I know the answer, but
Oh, right, the side hustle. Well, like I said earlier, I had this half-time web dev job for a long time. Um, but yeah, for now, I've decided to try and
go
go
all in.
full-time game dev. So we'll see how that works out. It's so for now, I'm not doing anything else. Just
Sweet.
concentrating on the
You got balls, my friend.
game.
I wish I could do the same. I wish I
I
had.
do have significant savings that a nice big runway. So it's
It helps, I'm sure. Yeah.
I've got backup plans.
It's always a good idea to have when you're. I mean, we all love games, but we know indie gaming is hard. It's
Tough
kind of
market.
hard to make a living at. Like
Yeah.
very few. It's like acting or trying to make your band big. It's very few truly succeed, but it's a passion, and we all love doing it.
And I think there's also a lot of survivorship bias. I don't know. A lot of people see oh Hollow Knight, it did so much, made so much money. You just got to make an indie game and you make it big. But it's like no, there's so many Metroidvanias that come out every year and so many that just
get ignored.
It's almost like joining a multi-level marketing scheme. Like it's only the 1% that actually make it. Everyone
We're all
else
part of a
just kind of like tries to
pyramid
get. Yeah, almost. I got roped into this by Blair Pyle. So
I never promised you shit, Gary.
yeah, I know.
right. It's like a multi-level marketing scheme that doesn't even promise you to get rich. It's like you're probably not going to get rich, but try it anyway.
Yeah. Right. Both of you have talked about it. What's your favorite part? What do you love about Gumbo?
I love about Gumbo.
Or the indie scene in New York in general?
I used to really like those brick walls that you had.
We still have them. The new place
different-
has them.
Oh,
Is that where you are, Jonah?
Yeah.
Or you
No,
know?
I'm at home.
Okay.
I could have taken this call, Gumbo. Jody, get a
we,
little
we,
tour.
we wouldn't want to bother Sam.
He doesn't mind being bothered.
No, it's definitely the Gumbos, like the people. Like it's a fun crew. Yeah. Catch us in the park grilling burgers or whatever.
Never grilled burgers in a park with you guys. I'm missing out on so much by not being there more often.
Yeah, same here.
The park 2021 is the year of the park.
The summer, yeah, definitely. I mean, hopefully it all works out.
How's the
How
park
about-
by you?
Are you talking to?
Yeah. It's, actually, both of you. Like, what's your park like?
Oh, I live in Astoria.
Oh,
Astoria
sick! I used to live there.
Oh,
Astoria
I
Park.
love Astoria. Yeah, Astoria Park is great. Yeah, it's huge too.
It's great. Beautiful
The
park.
very start of COVID, I was there at the picnic with some friends where everyone was socially distanced, etc.
Uh-huh.
But I think that was the last time I was there, and that was actually last summer. It was a year ago, almost.
Oh man, dude, I remember I lived there when Pokemon Go was like big.
Nice.
And Astoria, living there, being able to go to the park on your bike and having a Pokemon Go phone, like that was so much fun. That was a good like 3 weeks.
I could
It
see
was
that.
just those things. Yeah.
How about you, Jonah?
I mean, Gumbo is great because it can be both my work life and my social life, and I don't need to separate those two. So it
Isn't
just
that
really,
hard though? Isn't that like, I mean, you're not directly working with people, so like you don't have the same kind of work disagreements or work drama that goes on in a real office.
I still get
That
some drama.
definitely helps. Oh yeah, there is definitely drama that happens there.
But yeah,
But
no,
generally speaking,
but right, no, we don't have like weird, boss, underling drama stuff.
yeah, or coworker, disagreements or whatever, or
No one wants authority over anybody. It's great.
yeah, the nice part about working there is you don't work with the people. You're just sharing the space and sharing each other's company.
Yeah, and it's just great to, have somewhere else to go to work. So like, sure, a lot of people have been getting used to like working from home now, but I've been doing that for over a decade because when I went half time on my web dev job, I also started working remotely. So I came to realize that it can be awkward to work in the same space that you relax in because it's good to like separate the spaces for different like mindsets. Like if you work mindset, to have a different space that's like this is your workspace, so you're like in work mode. And then like when I'm home, it's like okay, it's relax mode, relax space. So just being able to separate those two has been really valuable.
Yeah, I think a lot of people during COVID times can definitely relate to that. I don't get enough of that. As you know, I'm only showing up to Gumbo on weekends these days.
Mm.
Fridays are not really possible anymore
Oh man.
here. Um, all right. We're getting to the end, but I gotta know what are the hardest things you've faced? First of all, you, Jonah, while making Kung Fu Kickball, the greatest challenges you've had to deal with so far. Hopefully no more major challenges now that we're coming to an end of it. But
I think now we're like we're getting to the end, just like running through, finishing up a few more features, and then we're gonna have that console release later this year, which will be great. That'll be I think the most satisfying feeling is to have the game out on console because I've always been a console gamer. I grew up with original Nintendo, so like
yeah, me too.
Switch and stuff. That's gonna just feel great. But some of the biggest challenges to get there. Let's see. I guess just netcode online play was one of the biggest things.
I mean, that's your most recent challenge that even
It's
no?
not. It's. I mean, I'm concentrating more on it right now. Although that's just kind of winding down. But it's been a challenge since day one in this game. Like I knew originally that it needed to have online play if it had any chance of selling. But I assumed that like I knew it was going to be hard, but I thought that there were like kind of standard
better APIs, better things to handle some of the issues you're running into, but apparently not.
Apparently not. Like at the time, GGPO was the main like this is the one to go with, but it's become open source since. But at the time, it was like very hush hush, and you had to like contact the developer directly to get access to it. And so I was learning about all these different techniques of netcode, and it's just been a real struggle. But I'm pretty happy with how it came out, and finally have a solution that works. And it's kind of like I did a lot of research and studied what GGPO did, and actually kind of came up with my own version of that kind of works a little better for my game because it's like a 4-person game.
Was that you now? Correct me if I'm wrong, but was that the issue you had with float points not being deterministic across different CPUs
So that's just an issue you have
in
with
general?
lockstep. The way I'm doing an online connection is kind of based on this peer-to-peer kind of framework called lockstep. And the idea with lockstep is each player is playing their own version of the game and just sending their inputs to the other players. So like this is what the original Doom first used for when that was like one of the first like online computer games was John Carmack just like threw together an online play into Doom really quickly. It was crazy. But the idea was that, you know, the two games had to work in synchronously with each other. They were in lockstep with each other. And one issue that can happen with that is that computers can treat numbers differently depending on the architecture. So because I wanted the game to be crossplay and work between all different PCs and consoles and all things like that, there were certain types of numbers I couldn't use. One type is called float. You know, I'm explaining it for because any listeners who like may not know the intricacies of this super nerdy
I don't know any of this.
math number stuff. But basically, floats are used everywhere in game engines and in physics engines and stuff. So
A lot for 3D development,
yeah,
but not as okay. Now because 3D engines have also are making 2D games, they're used a lot more.
they're used
I
everywhere.
mean, yeah.
Like yeah, because like anything like Unity, it's basic like vector concept, which is used, you know, in 2D or 3D or whatever, is, you know, a collection of floats. So I can't rely on any of those because they could be evaluated differently on different computers. So I had to like find an open, I couldn't use Unity's physics engine. I had to find an open source physics engine, replace every single time it used a float, replace it with this other type of number that was reliable across different systems. So yeah, it was a huge process.
Cool. So so Jonah, like I mentioned before, like that when you do like float point calculations and stuff, that it's very common for like 3D games. I want to elaborate on that because when Gary and I first started making games, we made 2D games in QBasic with screen resolutions of 320 by 200. So everything was pixel based. It was how many pixels do you move across the screen? So there were no float points in that at all. All integers basically. So high resolution, not the same.
QBasic.
That's where Gary and I got our start. Actually, no, basic on Gary's Commodore 64.
Oh, cool. Was that like
we totally aging ourselves with
Oh yeah,
64.
we were like 8 years old, I think. I don't know, 7. How old were we, Gary?
It was around grade 3. That was when I first learned to quote unquote program.
We were too young.
That's really cool.
All right, John, I'm gonna ask you the same question. What kind of challenges do you face with music creation? What's the hardest thing you find about doing this?
Oh man,
Hard question.
all of it. Just like getting good takes. I think when I was and like getting sample libraries to sound like music. I think those are the kind of the two big ones that when working on Kickball, those were the ones that I learned about the most. And I think probably the sample thing is the one, because on all the soundtracks I worked on before this, I didn't really need to lean on sample libraries as much. Like I would write stuff that was like, all right, like Zarvat, like that's mostly like like small combos or like trip hop or something, where like maybe you're using samples, but it's like it's like a combo. It's like a small number of instruments. But But with kickball, there was, we needed like an orchestral sound or like a big band sound. That's so like for this kind of thing, I was totally reliant on orchestral samples and like I'll write as many guitar and bass parts as I can like justify, but like this was where I kind of started learning about the concept of like, oh, here's how like a mix image works with this kind of instrument. This is what like a large ensemble sounds like and works like. And like sample libraries, like they kind of have all these little opinions baked into them, and they all work just like a little bit differently. So like getting them to cohere with each other is like that was a huge challenge on this one. So like maybe it's just like, this sample library recorded in this one hall in England is like, oh, that's the perfect sound for these strings. But like for the brass, oh, I needed the I don't know, this sample model, like it's like a synth maybe that like sounds like a trumpet and it goes brown brown. How do you get those to sound like they belong together? Like and that's like, so you take those kinds of like, I don't know, concerns or just like ideas about like how to make it sound like an ensemble that like wasn't just recorded like in like 100 different rooms in different like years probably. How to get that to all like play together. And like there's not even just like one way of doing that. There's like here's the way you might want to do it if you want it to sound or feel like oh, maybe you're trying to go make it really naturalistic. Maybe you're trying to make it sound like a pop record. Maybe you're trying to make it sound like a hip hop mix or something. Like there's all sorts of different ways of doing that kind of thing. And it was super fun to just like try and figure out how to do that stuff. So huge challenge. But I feel like I got to learn a ton on this one.
That's awesome. That's really cool. All right, guys, we're getting to the end of this. But John, we'll start with you. What kind of advice would you give to other aspiring game musicians or indies? Yeah, the advice question. I know.
I can't. I am no authority on anything.
That's the thing. Everyone says that, but everyone has some wisdom that they can pass on. Like think of yourself, like if you're giving yourself as a 10-year-old child advice, what would you say to 10-year-old self?
That just made it worse.
Oh, sorry.
I can tell like, a 27-year-old bad advice. I can't like ruin a kid's life.
I've ruined a lot of kids' lives. Don't worry. I will give me some advice.
Give Gary some advice.
Yeah, I give you some tips.
I don't know. Here, Gary, can you talk so that it goes to your camera?
Oh, you can't hear me?
Oh, can I click? Okay. See, I don't know anything about you. Could you maybe show me the room? I could give you some like interior decorating advice.
It's gonna be okay.
Oh, that's perfect. I can use some interior decorating advice, but I'm just gonna do a little zoom around of kind of my.
I like your plan.
Oh, you gotta keep talking, Gary.
Got rockets.
Rockets, nice.
I got a code 61 here.
Oh, dope.
Using a Focusrite.
Yeah, very nice.
That's about it. I have a guitar that's upstairs.
Cool. Nice. What kind?
It's a Korean Ibanez.
Oh, nice.
So you can think of that as like the equivalent of like a Mexican Fender.
Right. Yeah, I got one of those on Craigslist right now. Actually, if anyone is trying to buy a like a MIM Strat, hit me up. And I might not have sold it by then, but I keep buying guitars, so I have to clean my closet out.
You got a few on your wall. Just a few.
Yeah, well, that's why. Like, you can't sell when you buy these guitars. You can't. It like there's a case that's like twice as big in the closet, and I can't get rid of it because that's where like half of the value is, or something. I don't know. It's just like they want you to have the original case for whatever reason. Just like, oh, this is like a real vintage, whatever. So there's my advice is to don't sell your cases of the vintage guitars and stuff that you buy. Or maybe do. Maybe don't be like me. Maybe it's better to not have the case. Who's to say?
I have this like foam case for one of my guitars. I really like
Yeah.
those just because they're really light. And so allegedly it like
Uh-huh.
insulates it too. It's for an acoustic guitar. So
Cool. Cool. All right. What if I turn this into like, what did I learn on kickball? Like
Yeah, let's do that. What did you
yeah,
learn on
what
kickball?
I'm telling John at the beginning of kickball, hey, here's some stuff that'll save you a lot of time. I guess. Oh, use gates. That's like super important for getting like a. I
for
don't
when
know.
you're recording stuff.
Not just like when I don't know. I feel like when you're recording stuff, I want it as like lossless as possible, I guess. Like I try to get just like super clean and or like accurate recordings, and then like I'll run the gate during the mix part just because like I don't know, I could make a mistake when I'm gating it
Yeah,
on the way
that's what
in.
I do.
Yeah.
I do it just so I
Okay.
can play with the level.
Yeah.
And I'll try to find that sweet spot where like I'm not taking too much away from the recording, but I'm getting rid of the noise.
Yeah. Well, yeah, all kinds of ways. All right. Well, we just gave two advices.
Yeah, there we go.
There's two
So
different ways of,
whoever's listening to this,
yeah.
whoever that may be, gates.
And like, yeah, use gates and use. I figured out kind of a lot about convolution reverb. That was like a big thing discovery with me recently, I guess. Like, basically, there's two kinds of reverbs. You got reverbs that are trying to sound like effects. Like, think about like an 80s snare. Like, that doesn't sound like a place. That sounds like, oh, like this, it sounds like this, like really dramatic and exciting effect. That's dope too. But convo reverbs, kind of like what I was just talking about with like the getting the strings from England to sound right with the brass from LA or whatever. That's gonna kind of be your ticket there. So like a convo reverb is made to sound like it's like a real and like really specific place. I have no idea how they do this. But it's cool. And like kind of the way you do that is you work with filters and stuff, and you send everything to the same convo verb, and you try and make it sound like it all actually happened in that room. So to John in like 2017, focus on that stuff. Man, I feel like a year of work just lifted off of my shoulders because like I was smart enough to know that a year sooner or something.
That's awesome. I remember trying to use combo reverbs back in 2003-ish, and they were so process intensive that it would crash my computer every
Oh
single
yeah.
time. So
Yeah,
now the
no.
computers are actually better in 2021.
Yeah.
Go back and try using those again. But I kind of had this stigma where it's like, I'm going to stay away from this because I know it used to like completely break my computer back in the day.
Yeah, no, they're like that, man. That like I guess one way to do it, I've been considering getting like an outboard one, like one of those like lexicons or something, but I guess the disadvantage with that is I would have to do like real-time rendering for everything, and I'm too lazy for that. um, um, but yeah, That's what I got.
Awesome.
Awesome advice. All right, Jonah.
Oh, and get a good
Oh.
mastering engineer. It'll like don't listen to the soundtrack yet. Listen to it when I finish uploading what the mastering engineer sent me. Good stuff. They're worth every penny.
Do you work with one online, or do you have one kind of local that you?
He's like a
see?
dude that I know, but like yeah, he lives like in a different city, so I guess it's online.
Maybe you
Yeah,
can
because I was
recommend
thinking
one to
at
Gary.
some point I'd work with someone at a studio and like get all my guitars retracked for the battle music. That's kind of like one of
Yeah,
the things that's on my list of things I want to do.
like reamped, like take your DIs or like
Oh,
have like a
like a
different
complete
player.
I'm gonna hire a session guitarist and like have
Word,
him track it
dude, sick.
to do it properly, right? Like I figure like, you know, maybe I'll spend like a little bit of money just to have something like an iconic battle music to be done, right? I don't necessarily want to spend coin on like every single track, but certain ones, you know, I'll make concessions for.
Yeah, yeah. Damn, that sounds awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm in with that.
Yeah, because like let's be honest, Gary's a shitty kind of performer, right? There's a
Dude, me
reason why I'm
too.
not in a band.
That's like when I was in like high school and I was thinking about this stuff, I was thinking like, oh dude, I can play like 8 instruments. Like why aren't games doing this stuff? I'll be like the best composer ever. I can't actually play like any of those instruments. Like you get when it's time to record takes, I don't know. These illusions have completely disappeared from my brain. I don't believe it anymore.
Yeah, like I actually tried to do the intro of the Kids of Karendow battle music like a million times.
Yeah.
And then eventually just like, you know what, I can never get this to sound the way I want. So I just cheated and I programmed the intro.
Yeah, no, that's not cheating. Absolutely, man. I've spent on the kickball, the desert theme. That's the one where like it's very sody guitar work. And I remember I spent like literally a whole Saturday on 8 measures of that. Brutal. Can't play it. It's still in there as though I could play it. So maybe if I just didn't say anything, people wouldn't notice. But yeah, now it's out there.
You guys will notice, but I don't think Jonah or I would.
Yeah, I don't know, like Blair, for Poogle, have you noticed how sloppy the guitars are in that?
I thought that was intentional.
No,
Damn.
it's
But
just
I
poor
thought you were
playing.
going for like that kind of like, I don't know, just sort of like
Like a drunken bard or something? Like what?
yeah, maybe. I just thought
Okay,
that was
yeah,
your
okay.
intent.
You know, that'll be the official story then. It was a
Oh,
drunken
shit.
bard playing.
Noted. So do you want to redo that or something?
Still waiting for that on Steam.
Yeah. Well, we'll see where it lands in the final version.
Oh, we're not talking
I
about
could
this band.
I could
This
probably
is
use some like
town
some
music and
warping
Kids of
to fix it
Karendow.
up. Who knows? But yeah, now that's out there.
Yeah, no, okay. Well, that's good to know.
Kind of one of those things like if I tell you now you can't see it, or now you can't hear it.
Excuse me. That's hilarious. All right, Jonah, I will let you answer the same question however you want. What advice would you give someone, your 10-year-old self, or me, about game development?
I don't think I get like Blair. You know as much about game development as I do, so this would be more advice for my 10-year-old self, I guess, and my 10, 15, 20-year-old self. Like
Yourself from last year.
like the past, 3 years I've been working on this game. I don't know if I'd have that much advice besides just like telling myself like which netcode solution to use to skip some pain there. But to go back further, I think I would tell myself to take more art classes because art
That is good advice.
art is such an important part of games these days. It always has been, but even more so now, because just like people are so, with social media and stuff, you need a GIF or something that pops out at people, that people grabs people's attention to make them pay attention to your game. So I have taken art classes in the past, and but that is something I feel like I really need to work on and improve, like finding a distinctive art style that will grab people's attention. So that's kind of what I'm considering for my next game. Is like,
Who did your shirt?
so this was, the logo was done by Juno, and then you can see the back. I don't know. You can see that.
Flaming volleyball or
Sweet.
kickball,
The
I guess.
flaming
Yeah.
ball.
Flaming ball.
But that artwork was done. So actually had the graphics of the characters kind of evolved from, at first they were these kind of silhouette, really pixely looking guys. And then I had a animation team that I met called Exit 73 do a really short 30-second animated trailer for the game. And then I got, at the same time, I got the publisher, Blowfish, and Blowfish was like, we want to redo your characters. They look like the characters in that trailer. So then they took the kind of concepts that Exit 73 had kind of come up with for the trailer. Because I had told the animation team basically, like, these are kind of the character archetypes, kind of go crazy, do what you want with them. And so then they came up with these concepts, and then Blowfish took those concepts and like, okay, we're making these actually the characters now. So then they had like more concept art done and stuff. So the concept art on this shirt was done, or at least was hired to be done by the Blowfish team.
Nice.
So, and then they've been continuing, and then they've added more characters for me as well. So that's been a great relationship, is finding Blowfish to be a partner and helping with, making this a more marketable game and things like that. And the console porting has been really nice to have them handle that too. But yeah, especially because I want to be a solo developer. Like, I want to be able to have my hands in almost everything except the music. I'm happy to leave all the music to John.
I relate again.
I know, very cool to hear you two like kind of talking music shop talk.
Dude, that's like, I don't know, man. That's like the funnest part of this whole thing. Like, game developers, like, they let you do anything. It's so
Gary, don't let you do
awesome.
anything.
I would rather talk music than like sit here and talk about floating points all day.
Ouch, Jonah. That was a dig at you.
I mean, kind of me too. I only deal with floating points because that's what I got to get through to get the game done. But yeah, like, programming wise, like, I feel like there's like, you can do a lot. Like programming, you can just kind of do enough Google searching, look at enough Stack Overflows to eventually get things. But to like be a good artist or a good musician, actually, you just takes time, and you got to do stuff over and over again. So that to go back to the original question, that's what I would have told my younger self, is like, spend more time doing art and getting better at that, and developing a style.
That's good advice. And I feel like I could use that advice, and maybe my younger self could use that advice too. That is, yeah, because I focused when I was growing up. I mean, well, right now, you can easily say that you can write shitty code and still make a really good game.
Mhm.
Whereas 20 years ago, resources were still limited. Writing bad code and getting away with it was less possible, especially on consoles. When you're dealing with something like Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, or even like the first generation 32-bit consoles, Sony's, the PlayStation, and God forbid the Saturn.
I guess the biggest thing with the consoles, you couldn't push updates. So if you had a bug in your game,
Yes.
then that was just a bug forever. Like, ugh.
Yeah, now the internet allows you to just fix your issues on the fly, thankfully. All right. All right, Jonah, the last one's for you. This is all for you. Give us the pitch. Pitch Kung Fu Kickball. Tell us why everyone should be playing this game when it comes out, or downloading it now in early access.
That's right. So everyone should both be downloading it now in early access and then buy it again when it comes out on console later this year because it's just that good. So
Dude, it
Kung Fu
is.
Kickball.
People love this game. You go to the arcade, you go to Wonderville, you see people playing this game, they're having a blast. This
They
game
are.
it's a fun game.
Thank you, John.
So where is this bar?
The bar is the first bar, Wonderville, is in Brooklyn, Bushwick. It's a really cool bar. It's got a bunch of indie arcade cabinets. They're more like kind of almost like art pieces. So they don't have any like the standard arcade games, just these like weird indie games. Mine being one of them. And then the second bar is called Happy Valley, and that's in Beacon, New York. It's kind of a little further north than New York City. And so that's actually like a real arcade bar that's now got a Kung Fu Kickball cabinet.
All right, Blair, when I come to New York, let's go to one of these arcades, get smashed and play.
We'll go to Wonderville. Beacon's a little bit more of a trek, but we'll go to Wonderville for sure.
Yeah, you should definitely check out Wonderville. It's great.
All
But
right,
yeah,
back to the game pitch.
So Kung Fu Kickball is a team-based fighting sports game where the best ball kicker wins. You gotta punch, kick, and headbutt your way across the field to smash the ball into your opponent's goal and rack up points. It's kind of like a cross between Smash Brothers and Rocket League. You're kicking a ball around, trying to kick the ball onto the bell and get points, and it's a lot of fun. You can up to 4 players. You can do generally like a team 2v2. We've got online play, single player mode, and also, got a Discord community at discord.gg/Kung Fu Kickball. So we're really trying to build that up. We'll probably be doing some tournaments at some point later this year.
Am I still banned from those?
I don't think you'll have to be banned anymore now that people have a chance to like catch up in terms of skill.
Thank you. I could just like sink into my legend and never play again.
So you were unbeatable, were you?
So, I didn't think I was that good, but apparently it was a problem.
This
So
is from a tournament at Wonderville some time ago.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So I will say I'm really looking forward to this game. I'm a little disappointed you never implemented the groin punch, but I'll forgive you for that. I want everyone who's listening to this to definitely get this game when it comes out, whether it be for PC, Mac. It's not coming on Mac, is it?
It is on Mac actually.
Oh, so PC, Mac, and consoles when it all comes out. All the links to everyone's stuff, Jonah and John's, this game, your social media, etc., all be in the description. Any final words, guys?
Kickball.
Kickball. All right, guys.
Thanks for having us on, Blair.
Yeah.
Been
Thank
fun.
you
Yeah,
so much
man.
for coming.
Thanks, guys. I had a
This
lot
was
of fun.
For sure. Nice to meet you.
All right, guys. Thanks so much.
3, 2, 1, go! Kung Fu Kickball.
Thanks for listening. If you like this episode, please consider liking and subscribing. If you'd like to support the creation of our content, both podcasts and video games, please consider joining our Patreon. The link is in the description below. Please find all the links for Kung Fu Kickball and the social media information for Jonah and John also in the description below. And finally, stick around to listen to Bam Boogie by John for Kung Fu Kickball.